Funko and Drop just announced the redeemables for TMNT Series 2 for the Pop Digital lineup. And whenever Drop and Funko do announce a second series of a certain set, it always has me thinking, is it better than the first one? So I'm DK Wrestler, and in today's video, I'm going to be looking at the redeemables for Series 2 of the TMNT Funko NFTs, but then I'm also going to be looking back at the redeemables from Series 1 and determine which one is better between the two. Let's get right to it. So the first one I am going to be talking about is, of course, the newly announced TMNT Funko Series 2 for the Pop Digital lineup. It got announced today as I am recording this video, which will be releasing on August 27th at 11 a.m. Pacific time, 2 p.m. Eastern time for the packs to release. And so for this set, we do have a total of 5 different redeemables. The Grail, 999 pieces, being Baby Leonardo and Baby Michelangelo, but there's also another Grail to this set, being Baby Raphael and Donatello, making us the very first Funko NFT set to have 2 Grails in the set instead of the usual one. And not gonna lie, I kind of dig this concept, and it definitely does make sense for the sake of the fact that one features 2 of the turtles and the other one features the 2, so there kind of isn't a need to make it, let's say, what usually Drop and Funko do is that when you have 2 pops that are from like a very similar, like, I guess, set. My example, I'm going to mention the Nickelodeon Series 1 set from a few years back, where you had 2 Rugrats pops, and one of them was the Grail and one of them was the Legendary. And so I thought maybe they could have went down that route where, let's say, the Raph and Donatello is the Legendary, let's say, and then of course the Leo and Michelangelo would be the Grail, or vice versa. Or I guess in today's age, maybe make one the Grail, or perhaps the other one, instead of a Legendary, there is the new Ultra Rarity. But making them both the Grail definitely makes sense, so it's equal chance at getting either the Leonardo and Michelangelo or the Raphael and Donatello. Adding it in that sideways box, it makes sense because of the size, but you do have like the canister that they break off from with the slime to kind of make up for it to actually be worth getting this as like a regular 4-inch pop. But then moving on to the Legendaries. So the first one we're looking at is the Blacklight Rocksteady, limited to 2,000 pieces, and this isn't too bad. I mean, this is very expected, I guess, because of course of one of the pops that you've seen for Series 1, that being of course the Blacklight Bebop. So of course Bebop and Rocksteady, they go together, and if that Bebop was Blacklight, then of course the Rocksteady would also have to be Blacklight. Not entirely the biggest fan of the way that the purple looks for the Blacklight, but it is what it is. You got to do some sort of colorway that is different from the Bebop. And then the other Legendary, I believe it's pronounced Triceraton, and this is a wicked looking pop, and if I'm not mistaken, this is a character that has never been made prior to the TMNT lineup, so that's pretty cool that they're introducing a brand new character. So that's pretty cool, and I feel like a lot of people would really want to get this pop from the set. And then last but not least, of course, we have the Royalty, which will be limited to 2,500 pieces, of course, obtaining the other non-redeemable cards to get it, and that is Freddy Funko as Krang. And this isn't too bad of an idea. I think a lot of people were predicting about Freddy Funko as Shredder, but of course we noticed that there was the Freddy Funko as Shredder as turns to the Box of Fun at San Diego Comic-Con, or online realistically this year. So that kind of was thrown out of the equation because it was already made for that box. So it makes sense that it's a different villain, and Krang definitely makes sense. And it would be pretty awkward actually once you get this pop to actually put it beside your normal Krang, because as far as I know right now, this probably is a 4-inch pop, while the regular Entertainment Earth exclusive Krang is a 6-inch pop, unless maybe they are planning on making this pop as a 6-inch also. But this is okay. It's not too different from the actual look of Krang realistically, besides of course adding that Freddy Funko style hair and then the crown. And then now taking a look back at TMNT Series 1, a very, I guess, nostalgic set, because not only was this set released in the very first year of when the Pop Digital lineup came out, which was in 2021, but this was the very first drop that ever happened, which I believe, if memory serves me correctly, it was August 3rd, 2021 that this set came out, marking the first set in the Funko NFT slash Pop Digital lineup, which this set also does have 5 redeemables. So we're going to start off with the Grail, of course, 999 pieces, and it is the Iridescent Leonardo. When I looked at this redeemable as terms to the glam shot, exactly what I'm looking at right now, I find that this pop looks pretty sweet. I like the iridescent effect realistically with the different colors that are involved. I think my only gripe realistically is how the pop ended up turning out. But then going to the legendaries, we got ourselves limited to 1,467 pieces. Of course, this was the very first drop, so a lot of these legendaries realistically were a lot lower than what you see nowadays, especially with the new set being 2,000 pieces for the legendaries. We got ourselves the Blacklight Bebop, and this is an example of mentioning of why I like the Bebop better than the Rocksteady. I do like the brightness of the blue as pretty much the main color, and of course, with the different clothing pieces like the vest and the pants, you got the green and the pink slash magenta going on that really brightens all the colors together, and then of course the orange faux hawk going on. Then we got ourselves Casey Jones for this set, which I think it's all right. This is the molding, I believe, from the Casey Jones that they used. That's, I believe, specialty series. I can't exactly remember, exclusive for the Retro Toys version of the TMNT lineup. It's all black, and the purple, I think the purple is what saves this realistically, because even looking back at what the pop actually looks like rather than just basing my opinion off of the glam shot, it did turn out pretty well, not gonna lie. So I think it exceeded my expectations. And then last but not least, we have the Shredder, where it is the gold and the silver like shading that's going on, which I think was also okay. I think it turned out pretty decently when it was actually in the hands instead of what it actually looks like as terms to the glam shot that we're looking at right now. And then I feel like what's a lot of people's favorite pop of this set is the very first royalty of the set, limited to 2,160 pieces. Just being Freddy Funko himself, it's not Freddy Funko as a character, it's just Freddy Funko, I guess, more of a cosplay realistically, because it's like he's trying to be a TMNT character with the mask, but of course he's wearing a TMNT shirt and no outfit, so it's kind of like a cosplay. I do like the aspect of that pop, and why I feel like maybe even this royalty, in my opinion, is better than the royalty from Series 2.
A few moments later.
So when going over my thought process, this actually ended up being a little bit more difficult than I originally thought it was going to be, because I had to really break it down into different sections to make my decision. So kind of what I alluded to at the ending of talking about Series 1 is that I do like the royalty for Series 1 rather than Series 2, considering that, of course, Freddy Funko isn't portraying as some sort of character, and with Freddy Funko as Krang, it isn't really too much different from what the original Krang looks like, to where I feel like you're better off just getting the regular Krang instead of getting Freddy Funko as Krang. And then when you're comparing the 3 pops as terms to the Grail, because you have the 1 Leonardo for Series 1, but then you do have the baby turtles consisting of 2 pops each for Series 2, to where I like the idea that Funko and Drop are going with the Grails for Series 2, where it's the glow-in-the-dark aspect for the slime, and then you're getting more bang for your buck for how the pop is pulled. And I wasn't really a fan of how the Leonardo looked when people got their hands on the pops, because in my opinion, it looks like, if anyone remembers the fruit by the foot flavor known as color by the foot, it's literally exactly like that in my opinion. Instead of the way that the iridescent looks nicely on the Glam Shop. It's like a one-on-one situation because I like for the Royalty Series 1 better, but I like Series 2 Grails better. So it all comes down to the Legendary section with the 3 pops from Series 1 and then the 2 pops in Series 2. As I mentioned earlier, I like the Blacklight effect more on Bebop for Series 1 rather than Rocksteady in Series 2. And I feel like the Bebop is what really makes up for basically the 3 legendaries. We've already seen that Casey Jones and Shredder body mold, it's just a different colorway. While for Series 2, even though I'm not a big fan of the Blacklight Rocksteady with the colorway, I do like the addition of a brand new character in Series 2, that being Triceraton, which I feel like even if it was only Triceraton versus the 3 legendaries, because of the fact that it's actually a new character, unlike the entire set of Series 1, which is just already existing molds but different color changes, that is what I would think, in my opinion, makes Series 2 the better of the 2 series. Anyways, guys, that's gonna be the end of today's video, and if you enjoyed today's video of me comparing Series 1 to Series 2 of the TMNT Funko NFTs, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know your opinion down below, and I hope to see you guys in the next video on the channel. 1, 2, 3, I'm out of here.